At 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday in rural Kentucky, a 911 dispatcher named Carla took a call that she would later describe to her supervisor as the one I still think about. The number that came through belonged to a landline registered to a house on Route 9, a property county records showed had been vacant for almost 2 years. When Carla picked up, there was no immediate response, just breathing, slow, steady, like someone trying very hard to stay calm. She did what she was trained to do. She asked the caller to confirm their location, asked if they were in danger, asked them to tap the phone once if they couldn't speak. After almost 30 seconds of silence, a voice came through. A woman, calm, almost pleasant. She said, "He's already inside. He's been inside the whole time." Carla asked who he was. The woman didn't answer that question. Instead, she said, "I don't think I'm going to make it to the kitchen." Then the line went dead. Dispatch immediately pinged the call back. No answer. They sent 2 units to the address on Route 9. Lights off, approaching quietly per protocol. The house was dark. No vehicles in the driveway. No signs of forced entry. The front door was unlocked, which the responding officers noted as unusual for a property that had supposedly been sitting empty. Inside, the house was completely bare. No furniture, no appliances. The landline that the call had originated from was sitting on the kitchen counter, unplugged from the wall, with the cord wrapped neatly around the base. Dust covered every surface except a single rectangular patch on the counter, exactly the size and shape of the phone, like it had been moved there recently and set down. The officers checked the phone company's records the next day. The line had been disconnected 14 months earlier. According to the provider, it was technically incapable of placing a call. There was no power running to the house at all. The electric company confirmed the meter had been pulled the same month the line was cut, and yet the 911 call had come through clearly, with a verified callback number matching that exact landline, lasting 51 seconds, recorded in full on dispatch's system. Carla played that recording for her supervisor more than once over the following weeks, trying to figure out if she'd misheard something, hoping there was a detail she'd missed that would make it make sense. There wasn't. The case was eventually closed as unable to determine origin, equipment malfunction, which satisfied the paperwork, but, according to people who worked with Carla at the time, never sat right with her. She requested a transfer to a different shift not long after, and reportedly avoided overnight dispatch duty for the rest of her career. No one ever went back to check what, if anything, was in that kitchen. In a suburb outside of Phoenix, Arizona, a 911 call came in at 11:42 p.m. from a child's voice, a girl sounding about 7 or 8 years old. The dispatcher, a man named Ruben with over a decade on the job, immediately recognized the pattern of a child caller and adjusted his tone to match. Calm, simple questions, short sentences. The girl said her parents were in the other room and that the man wouldn't leave. Ruben asked her name. She told him. He asked where she lived. This is where the call became strange. She started to answer normally, gave a street name that matched a real subdivision in the county, but then stopped mid-sentence and said, "Wait, that's not right. We don't live there anymore." Ruben asked her to think carefully and try again. She gave a second address. When he cross-referenced it in real time with the system, that address came back as a vacant lot. The home that had previously stood there had burned down 9 years earlier. He kept her talking, following protocol, trying to extract any identifying detail he could, while a trace was attempted on the call. The girl mentioned a dog's name. She mentioned the color of her bedroom walls. Small, specific, the kind of detail a real child gives without thinking about it. At one point she said, very plainly, "He's been in the closet the whole time, but he only comes out at night." When Ruben asked if she could go somewhere safe, lock a door, get away from the man, she answered, "I don't think I can get up. I don't think my legs work right now." The trace came back inconclusive. The call had bounced through multiple cell towers,
in a pattern that the phone company later described as inconsistent with any single mobile device transmitting from a fixed location. In simpler terms, the signal moved like it was hopping rapidly between locations miles apart, which a single phone physically cannot do. The call lasted 6 minutes and ended with the girl saying, "He's looking at the phone now," followed by what the official incident report describes only as a brief, unidentified audio disturbance, and then silence until the line disconnected on its own. No address was ever confirmed. No missing child matching her description and stated name was ever found in any local, state, or national database, then or since. Rubin told a podcast years later, after retiring, that he still has the audio saved, and that he's listened to it maybe 4 times since leaving the job. He said, each time he hears something slightly different in the background. Once he swears he heard a second voice, much lower, saying something he still won't repeat out loud.
A long-haul truck driver named Walt was driving a stretch of interstate through rural Nebraska around 3 a.m. when he called 911 from his cab. Not for himself, but to report something he'd seen on the side of the road. This call is unusual because, unlike the other two, it's a call Walt placed, and the strangeness comes entirely from what happened in the minutes that followed. Walt told the dispatcher, at first, that he'd seen a woman standing on the shoulder of the highway, far from any town, with no vehicle nearby. He said it looked like she needed help, so he was slowing down to check on her. The dispatcher asked him to stay on the line and stay in his vehicle. For the next 2 minutes, Walt's voice remains steady. He describes pulling over. He describes the woman not moving, even as his headlights hit her directly. He says, "She's just standing there facing the trees, not the road. That's weird, right? Why would she be facing the trees?" Then his tone changes. He says, "She's turning around now." Okay, she's not turning around right. People don't turn around like that. The dispatcher asks him to return to his truck immediately and lock the doors. Walt's response, recorded clearly on the call, is, "I think I already did that. I don't remember doing that, but I think I'm already inside." For the next 90 seconds, Walt says almost nothing except for fragmented phrases. "She's at the door. She's at the door now," in a flat, disconnected tone that the dispatcher later described as completely different from how he'd sounded at the start of the call, like a different person was speaking through the same voice. The final clearly audible thing Walt says before the line goes silent is, "I don't think I'm going to remember this conversation." Then static, lasting almost a full minute before the call disconnects entirely. State troopers located Walt's truck, pulled over on the shoulder roughly 40 minutes later, engine still running, headlights still on, driver's door unlocked and slightly open. Walt was in the driver's seat, conscious, seatbelt still fastened, and according to the responding trooper's report, completely unable to recall placing the call at all. He didn't remember stopping. He didn't remember seeing a woman. He had no memory of anything after merging onto that stretch of highway nearly an hour earlier. His dispatch company pulled his logs and confirmed he'd been on schedule, en route, with no prior incidents. A psychological evaluation following the event found no indication of a seizure, blackout disorder, or any medical explanation for the memory gap. Walt continued driving trucks for several more years, but according to a former coworker, he refused, for the rest of his career, to take any night route through that specific stretch of Nebraska highway, and would request a reroute even if it cost him hours. The 911 recording still exists in County Archive. The final 90 seconds of static, when isolated and slowed down by an amateur audio engineer who got hold of a copy years later, reportedly contained something underneath the noise, a rhythmic sound, evenly spaced, that he described as sounding
like something walking on a hard floor, getting closer to the microphone, then stopping right next to it. He never finished isolating the rest.
3 calls. 3 recordings that still sit in evidence archives somewhere, available to anyone who knows how to file the right request. If you ever find yourself making that call, or answering one, just remember, not every voice on the other end is asking for the kind of